Hey everyone, welcome back to Brown Coat Nerd. What we have here is what might be the last upgrade I do to my Glock 43. This is my concealed carry gun. I've gone through a couple of videos on this, on additional things I've added like the TLR6, the Mag Guts magazine, the Superfly holster, and then now finally I'm bringing you a review on the TruGlo TFX Pro Tritium and Fiber Optic Xtreme sights from TruGlo. Now, first, right off the bat, I know TruGlo, they're from the sense of reputation I get from them is they're kind of bottom of the barrel, mass produced. However, I have seen very good reviews on these sites. My one experience with TruGlo was just one of those little simple snap-on fiber optic front sights for shotguns that kind of hug the bead. And that worked really well. The fiber optic piece itself stayed in there. I shot a ton of slugs through that. This was on my Savage Stevens 320, 720, whatever those things were called. I don't have it anymore. And the little clamp that went onto the barrel itself, I don't think that thing's ever coming off. And they were fairly cheap. So once again, I hopped on Amazon to see how much these were. I can't remember how much I paid for them. It looks like, at least right now, for the 43X, they're going for right around $107. So they're not very expensive at all. These particular ones, the TFX Pro, are the top shelf version of TruGlo. They have a bunch of other ones. I think some of them are plastic, have a plastic housing. Some of them are just fiber optic. I know they've got one where it doesn't have that orange ring, but rather kind of this a silver or white ring. But anyways, these are kind of the high-end ones, and even then they're still pretty cheap at just over $100. Now, as you can see, these are both green front and back sights. Like I said, that front sight does have that orange little ring around it. And they do have a exposed fiber optic there, so we're grabbing plenty of light in the sunlight or if there's ambient light around. And then in front of that, you'll notice these extend out quite a bit, and there's actually a little get a little lint off there, tritium vial in front of these fiber optic sights. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. They are a little long, which might look a little goofy. However, this is my carry gun, so it's all about function over form. And like I said, these ones are metal. These are not the plastic ones. I did definitely want to go with something that is metal. Typically, on a gun I'm taking to the shooting range, I do not care. However, like I said, with this being a carry gun, I kind of want to make sure I'm not going to have any kind of issues. And these came with those basic standard Glock sights, in case you're wondering. Now, to change these out on your Glock, you are going to definitely need a front sight tool for the Glock. It's got a very low lying kind of like little nut in there. You need something that's very thin. I've seen some people talk about just taking a socket, I forget what size this is, and filing it down. However, I got this one. As you can see, this is also the TruGlo brand. This cost me $9. So I was like, $9 is worth me not sitting there with a grinder getting a socket down, hoping it works. So I just bought one of these. You can probably find them for even cheaper. I got the TruGlo one because I saved on shipping since it came from them. And then, optionally, you can get a rear sight pusher, or you can just take a punch and a hammer. However, I decided to go ahead and get a actual sight pusher. I got this off of Amazon or eBay. It's just a very generic sight pusher made in China. Surprise, surprise. So it comes with this guy here. I still have no clue what this metal piece is for. I don't think I ever figured that out. But this is just a very basic, rudimentary little tool here, but it does the trick. So I think I'm loosening the wrong end here. So basically, between these two blocks, you're going to put in the slide itself. There we go. So you just put the slide in there, and then you're going to use this piece here to actually push the rear sight out. There are nicer, very expensive ones, versions of these. This one was like right around $20. Once again, I just kind of hopped on eBay and Amazon to look at their generic ones that look like this. And so these are right around $20. They're pretty cheap. And all you need is like a socket and a wrench to move that pusher where you need to. And there's quite a few burrs in there. I think you can even see some crud. So I did kind of have to run this a few times. But it works. Definitely worth the $20. Like I said, I don't know if I'll necessarily need to use one of these again. But if I do, like, this does a pretty good job. And it does have little rubber pads. I think these were separate. I think I had to put these on myself. That way you don't mar up your slide. So like I said, you don't really necessarily need this. But once again, for $20, just that extra reassurance of not marring up the sights or anything made it all pretty easy. So keep that in mind. You're going to need around $30 of additional tools if you don't have those already. Now, I've had these on here for quite a while. I put them on like shortly after I put my last video up on this Glock. So I've had them on here for several months. I did not shoot this gun a whole heck of a lot with the original sights. So when I put the new TruGlo sights on, I took it out shooting. Honestly, I really couldn't tell any difference in my accuracy. It didn't get better, it didn't get worse. It's roughly right around the same. And honestly, I have to admit that I this being my carry gun, I definitely just need to get out there and shoot it more. I do not know this gun as well as some of my other surplus handguns that I've had for years. And this is my carry gun. So I'm dropping the ball on that one. But so, yeah, didn't notice a huge difference in accuracy. I have seen some people complain about how this U-notch back here, how it's not as tight. The rear sight does not hug that front sight as much as other sights or as the original ones. And I do see what they're talking about. However, I think, once again, I haven't shot this a whole bunch with these sights on there. But however, I do believe that for what this is, a self-defense gun. Oh, and I forgot to show that it's empty. There you go, YouTube. We are empty. My apologies. I don't think that's going to bother me so much because I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time looking at the sights to line them up. It's going to be a very quick acquisition, pull the trigger, hope I'm not dead. So I think I'm going to be okay with that. Like I said, taking it out, shooting it, I definitely did see what they're talking about. I'd heard people complaining about that before I actually got the chance to take this out to shoot with the TruGlo sights on there. So would I have noticed that if they didn't bring it up? I'm not sure. It definitely is there. But once again, for this being a self-defense gun, it's not necessarily a target gun. I think I'm fine with that. And the couple times I've taken this out shooting with the new sights on there, like I said, there's no huge jump out there difference in the accuracy of these sights compared to the old ones. Now, one thing I was very surprised about is how bright the Tritium glows in these. So the Tritium is in front of these fiber optic rods there. I kind of felt like that would mean that's going to dim out that Tritium quite a bit. I wasn't sure how bright they actually would end up being. So, waited until evening to shoot this video to try to get it as dark as possible. We'll see if the camera can pick it up at all. Hey, kind of, sort of. So in person, let me get this off kind of the side here. I'm looking at the screen and looking down at the actual sights. They are a little brighter in person than what's showing up on my screen. Of course, that's going to vary on your screen depending on how much you have the brightness set. But for me, comparing on my, the screen I'm looking at right now as we're recording, yeah, real life, they're just a little bit brighter than what you guys are seeing. But there you go. That is the Tritium. I was very impressed with how bright those were. Now, let's get the lights back on here. Okay, so that's the one thing that really surprised me about these, especially, once again, at that price point. I did not want to cut corners on anything I get for this gun. However, looking around there, I did want some sights that were going to be both fiber optic and Tritium, kind of getting the both of, the best of both worlds, daylight shooting and nighttime shooting. TruGlo is really the only brand I came across that offered both. So maybe I was just missing it. So it was kind of went down to my only option, and I was like, I actually got to the point of, okay, I need to pick one or the other. Maybe I just need to get some night sights and live with that and forget about the fiber optic side of it. But then, like I said, I started looking into reviews on the TruGlo TFX Pros, and they were actually pretty good. So I was like, okay, I'll roll the dice. Once again, they're not super expensive, but they're not super cheap either, Risked $100 on the sights. Like I said, I haven't taken out a whole bunch, but already I can tell you I'm very happy with these sights. With how bright the Tritium glows, I was actually blown away quite a bit at that. And I will say that I remember coming across something in the information that they had online about these sights. They did mention something about some kind of coating on these fiber optic rods here that's supposed to make them more resistant to gun cleaning chemicals and stuff like that. I don't have fiber optic sights on really any of my handguns, so I don't know if that's a common thing, but it kind of talked about them kind of clouding up or graying out, and supposedly these are going to be resistant to that. So hopefully that is the case. I haven't gotten these too grimy to really let you know any feedback as to whether that's true or not. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to make this quick video, kind of most likely my last upgrade to this Glock. I do want to keep the polymer trigger. I know that's really weird. If I do change out the trigger, it's going to be with another polymer one. I know there are some aftermarket options out there. Sometimes I do carry my gun where I am outside for long periods of time, and that trigger is going to be getting really cold. And so if I do have to use it, I don't want, I want one less thing to worry about. So I'd rather have my finger resting on cold plastic than cold metal. And honestly, this trigger, it's not that heavy. If you watch my review on this gun, I did a trigger pull test. I can't remember what it came out to. It's something like 4 pounds. I was pretty happy with it. I don't need it any lighter than that. So, gonna keep that. Got the TLR 6. It's not great, but it's better than nothing. And once again, it was pretty darn cheap. I've been very happy with these mags. I recently got the flush fitting +1. I haven't had a chance to shoot that a whole bunch, but once I do, I'll do a quick update on that. I already did an update on this +2 here, which, in case you don't know, uses the factory magazine housing, but it does change out the follower, the spring, and then obviously your base plate here to get in an extra 2 rounds, not 1, but actually 2. Their +1 is the flush fit mag that uses the factory base plate. So we'll get a video update on that eventually. So I guess you'll get one more update on the Glock, but essentially the Glock is done. So that is it, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Don't forget to go check me out on Rumble as well as Instagram. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Stay safe and stay shiny.